So in today's podcast, I am joined by a return guest in the form of Anthony Kaminskas to discuss his new bookmaker website, AKBets.Bet, and to answer some of the many questions we all have on how it all works and why you set it up. First off, Anthony, talk me through the last few weeks on the launch of AKBets itself. It sounds like it's involved a lot of work to get it up and running. How much time have you been putting into it all?
Good to see you again, Pete. How much time have I been putting into it all? Basically all my time. The last month in particular, all my time trying to get it up and running. We finally got up and running, I think, on the 10th of March. So yeah, it's as close to every waking hour as it's been, to be honest with you. Like my own personal betting has took a huge back step recently. And just throwing all my attention at the website, and there's a hell of a lot still to do. But yeah, it's up and running. It functions well, and it functions as I'm happy with on day 12. But there's a lot to do, and just trying to get through the list of things to do, basically.
Yeah, because you launched the Friday before Cheltenham. Is that right?
Yeah, probably too soon, to be honest with you. But the aim was to get up for Cheltenham. There was a few bits and pieces we didn't have in place. Still bits we don't have in place. The way it looks now is not the way it's going to look in 3-4 weeks' time, sort of thing. Like ideally, we would have had another month at it, basically, because it's a very long process. But we just had to get up and running for Cheltenham, and then we decided that was the best case scenario. And then just firefight basically for the first week or two, and just try and be as polite as we can to customers that were having any kind of issues, but just work our way through them as well, and use it as a way to learn as well, and just be thankful of some people's patience that may have had a 90% good experience rather than a 100% good experience.
Mm-hmm. And how long was it in development, the website itself?
A long time, to be honest with you. I popped over to the boys in Wales, DragonBet, the Lulls, in September, October, talking through a lot of platform options with them, white label options. White labeling was always going to be my only option, basically, because anything outside of white labeling was probably going to cost me 5 or 10 million quid. So that wasn't an option for me, sadly. So yeah, it was a white label start, and I'm real happy. It's as a website, I think it's absolutely class. It's just a website that's probably not been seen in Ireland before, in particular. I'm just really, really happy with it, and trying to improve it every single day and every minute of every single day, basically.
Yeah. Okay. And so how much of your time is spent, like, say, firefighting at admin versus actual bookmaking itself?
Yeah, I suppose the bookmaking side of it is just reacting to the bets that you're seeing and managing the customer base that you're seeing. It's more a risk management piece than an actual trading bookmaking piece, and it will be that for the first 4 to 8 weeks, I'd imagine. It's kind of it's all, like you probably see, apart from Steve Agrezovic behind me on the wall, like I'm here on my own, and I'm going to be looking to hire one or two people in the very near future. Just haven't got round to that with Cheltenham being week 1 and being here on my own, and then just the start of this week. There's a few little things that we need to put right as well, and just add more product to the website. So that's been my focus basically, but it's a real struggle time wise, to be honest with you, because there is that much to do, and you're trying to prioritize what to do, and the priority is probably getting someone in to help as well. But there feels like there's not a minute in the day, sort of thing. So it's just a lot of work basically. But listen, I love it. It's if you enjoy your work, it's not too much of a hardship, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's definitely a passion for you, and it probably needs to be given the amount of time you're putting in. And so I listened to you on Mark Holder's podcast, and you did talk about hiring, but at the moment it's just you. And have you got a few guys helping you out as well?
No, it's literally just me at the moment. There's we have as part of the white label service, they'd have a trading team of sorts, and they would oversee it at certain times of the day, just when I've got to sleep essentially. And that's kind of the way it is. Like they'd be all over. We wouldn't have that much going on in the evenings, and they'd be just monitoring, and they'd have a very close eye on the bets coming through in the evenings and overnight and that kind of thing. So, but that's the case.
Okay. Well, you mentioned the white label and the skins that you've got. We'll get into that a little bit more detail further on in the chat. But first of all, I wanted to ask you why your motivations, because you are a very successful punter. And we've seen you on course, but obviously online's another step entirely. What made you decide to switch to bookmaking, and how does your punting fit into that these days?
What made me? Yeah, it's kind of. I think it's probably the most. Just everything I've learned in the last 17, 18 years, just in the industry. It's probably been leading up to doing something like this. To be honest with you, the punting was to acquire the funds to do something like this. So I'm pretty lucky and pretty blessed to be in this situation. I think, and listen, it's my one chance to actually do something that might make not make a difference, but might make a difference to my life essentially and my family's life. So it's my shot at it, I suppose. There's plenty of people that have got opinions and ideas. Not many people have a go at doing stuff. And I'm just going to stick my head above the parapet and have a go, basically.
Hmm.
I think there's a few gaps in the UK and Irish market where I can just smuggle into and try and help me build. I've got the shop window of the on-course, which I've built up over the last 18 months. So it's given me some kind of profile to instead of going into this 18 months ago, just as somebody who wasn't on course and as somebody who didn't have any kind of, I don't think I've got a profile now, but like any kind of profile. So
Hmm.
I've been able to get customers through the door on goodwill and people who've dealt with us on the race course and probably seen
Yeah.
what we've done prior to this. And then it's just trying to build on that goodwill. The goodwill is going to give us the foundations, but then it's going to have to do something on top of that as well. So it's kind of that's the intention anyway.
Yeah. So you're going to continue to bet yourself, or is that just on the sideline for now as you build up the business, or your
Yeah,
time is focused on the
it's
bookmaking?
it's much decreased the last 4 to 6 weeks anyway. I'd imagine it'll be a smaller and smaller part of what I do day to day as the months go by. Essentially,
Yeah.
and I love it. It's as anyone knows who becomes very well, not very like anyone who gets any kind of success in gambling. It becomes an administrative task of getting bets on. Basically, that's what it becomes. The finding the bets is actually the easiest part of the whole thing. It becomes an admin chore. I like it. A lot of the chorey parts I try and outsource, but it's I think to scale to do something past that, it's probably going to be outside of my own personal punting. I think.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because I was going to ask you, there's that uncertainty from punting aligned to the difficulties getting on and then getting paid. But as a bookmaker, you don't you don't have those issues. Quite the opposite ones, I suppose. So, and it's a big risk for you, isn't it? Because you've put a lot of cash on the line. You're putting all your attention to it on the line. So your income is basically going to come from your success is going to rise and fall on the future of AK bets, isn't it?
Yeah,
So
yeah, no, exactly
yeah,
that. Like there's obviously the money aspect of it. It's not cheap to do. That's why not many people do it. From a time point of view, there's a massive opportunity cost with the amount of time that I've sunk into this. It's
yeah,
probably a good 6 months of actual time now. Listen, time's time, but listen, time is what's the word finite. Like you don't, there's not always lots of time, and so I'm obviously put a hell of a lot of time into this, which has its negatives as well. And then it's a reputation thing as well. Like, listen, nobody wants to nobody wants a bad reputation essentially. So I'm essentially putting my reputation, whatever that is, on the line. That I'm going to try and back up what I've always said essentially. So that's that's another facet of it, I suppose.
hmm yeah, makes sense. Yeah, and so let's talk about your website then, because you mentioned the expense, what millions to develop your own, and I've seen some criticism online. You no doubt saw it, called you the Irish Star Sports because you have their skin and operate under their license. Explain maybe a little bit more about why you have to take that route. Obviously, the finances, but I'm sure there's more reasons for it, and maybe explain why you're not the Irish Star Sports.
Well, they have a skin. it's under their license. You can talk about a licensing. Like I was quite amused by some of them comments. It's always the guys that are seem to be a little bit pissed off with life that always make these comments, and they're like, "Oh, that's the same one website as this one," and I'm like, I think sometimes you give people too much credit about what they know. I was like, kind of, I thought you knew. Like, was that not obvious? I don't know. Like, maybe they're digging into small print of terms and conditions to things. I'm just like, just use your eyes on the homepage. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, so that's that. But yeah, it's under the Star license. But the tech that I use is from another company. And imagine Star used the same tech as well, but that the tech is a totally different company altogether. So yeah, like that's what it is essentially. It's very expensive. If anyone's got 50 or 60 grand a month sterling and wants to give it a go, it's there for you. But if you don't have that, you're not going to be able to use this tech. I studied white labeling was going to be my only option from a cost point of view, and I'm talking like the amount of money it's costing. You try and build it yourself, 50 or 60 grand a month is going to be small change compared to what it's going to cost you to actually get set up on this kind of thing. So it's still a hell of a lot of money. But yeah, that's the situation anyway. That's what it's going to cost to run this website and get people in, and so I'm willing to have a go at that. I did all my research when I spoke to the DragonBet guys. I piggybacked a lot of their research. They were very helpful for me, and I kind of tried to add a little bit on myself as well from my own slant. I went through all the white labeling options. This technology that I've got is the best option. It's the most expensive option. So for me, it's all about, as it was with my punting, as it was with my racecourse business, try and buy the best racecourse pitches I can, or don't do it. And it's the same with this as well. If I was going to go the white label route, I wanted the best tech, and this is absolutely class from a tech point of view. So I'm very happy.
Tell me about that tech. Tell me about what the tech provides to you. What's the advantages of that technology versus perhaps some of the others, and
I
the
think
flexibility it offers you?
Yeah, I think it's incredibly slick. I think just looking at the website and looking when you load a race and looking at the homepage and every single page of the website, I think it's exceptionally slick. It's really easy on the eye. User experience is very, very good. That's a massive thing. There's a lot of stuff to do with tech that the people listening to this podcast who haven't worked in a bookmaker's head office wouldn't understand. A lot of the tech is back end stuff that I can see that you can't see, and how you manage and work around markets and how markets display, how each way terms display, little intricacies of what you can do around liabilities, how you can manage customers, how you can manage feeds, how you can manage a plethora of different things. You don't see that in the front end, the back end of this tech. And I've seen the back end of some tech, and there's a lot of gaping holes in some of the competition. And this tech's really, really good. Like there's some stuff in the back end of the platform that I use that is superior. There's some that's inferior, but there's a lot of stuff that's superior to the stuff that I would have been using at Paddy Power. So like I'm paying for it, but I'm pleasantly surprised with what it can do as well. So yeah, really, really, really happy with what it can do. I think I can add a lot of stuff, even just for the platform, with the little holes that I can see, and I can add value to them by getting improvements for my own back end that are going to then help service them with other businesses and things they do. So there's a lot of synergies there. But yeah, just overall, I'm really happy with the way it looks front end, and I'm really happy with the back end as well. So yeah.
Yeah, well, I've used the Star Sports site. Obviously, it's the same layout, and that's always quite user friendly and easy to bet with. I know it's the same with you as browsing your website earlier, and very easy to find the information you want quite quickly, and it flows quite well. So you talk about that flexibility. Obviously, we only see that front end, but in terms of the pricing and the odds, you're able to adjust everything, whether it be each way terms, whether it be the odds that you offer, liabilities. You're able to adjust as you see fit. I imagine you haven't done a great deal of that yourself, or maybe Cheltenham, but you have that opportunity, do you?
Yeah, see, I try and pick the bigger events. As I explained earlier, it's me on my own here. I have 100% control of my customer base, my prices that I offer on my website, my each way terms, and my liabilities as well. That is literally me controlling all of that. Now, with the list of things that I've still got to do, just user experience things, a million different things I've still got to do with this website. Adding different things, adding different sports, adding streaming. There's loads of stuff that I'm working on to get up and running. But from a pricing point of view, originally, listen, there's a lot of feed pricing on this website. For like, some people will understand what that means, some people won't, but there's a lot of feed pricing on this website. But I have overriding control. I can change feed prices whenever I want. So as it's me on my own and I'm working every hour God sends, I'm just picking the easy spots where I can put my own slant on things. I've done it a couple of times with the golf. I actually didn't do it this week on the golf because I just hadn't time. But last week I had the live event in for 20 grand with my own prices attached to it, just because there weren't many runners and I could just manually do it myself. As I keep pointing out, I'm on my own here. I had different early prices, not totally different, but like I was making changes to early prices at Cheltenham, basically just because it was a big meeting. I could add. There were instances where the feed was telling me to go 7-4 John Bon and I was going 15-8, and like I could stick it in to lose 5-10 grand sort of thing. I think we had them in for 10 grand in the morning of Cheltenham. So like, listen, at the moment, as things stand, say like tomorrow, I'm not going to be toying around with prices at Sedgefield tomorrow. That's just not going to be happening. But for the bigger meetings where I can actually just change the odd thing around, that's an option for me at the moment. Long term, because I have that control over my pricing, once I've got people in here with me that I want to empower to do their own stuff with their own pricing as well and take positions, that's something we're going to be doing. But listen, we're on day 12 here. We haven't invented the wheel yet, I'm afraid, but it's hopefully coming.
Yeah, because I was looking at your live golf prices last week and I noticed you were, I think it was Abraham Answer, you were quite big on him. I think you were market best prices and terms on him.
Yeah.
And I think it was Jason Kokrak you were quite short on, obviously, whether you fancied him or your liability. But I was just noticing, like, for the shrewd punter, you can maybe find a couple of golfers that you can take on.
Yeah, the ones that I'm pricing myself, if you want to have a look, you probably know the ones I'm backing. I've gone off a cliff with Jason Kokrak in the bloody live event. So it's probably you probably want to fade me on that one, I'd say, going forward, just like Tyrrell Hatton. But yeah, like I think we were 18s or 20s Answer. It was generally 14s, 16s, and we had it to lose 20 grand on the website. You could, at one click, a new account could have a bet to win 20 grand. And that's kind of the stuff that I can do, like quick winny stuff. It's not going to appeal to everybody. Obviously, people aren't having bets to win. Not everybody's having bets to win 20 grand. But if you think I'm changing a price at Sedgefield and giving you a bet to win 20 grand, it's not going to happen. But there's certain spots where we can take positions on higher profile events, basically, and that's essentially it.
Because one of the things you've said in your tweets is good prices and big limits, and you want to encourage people to come to your take. Maybe they've been cut by other firms and restricted, but you're willing to take some of that action. We'll probably talk about how you approach punters. But there was a question that did come up. We're talking about liabilities and what have you. I guess concessions are not going to be part of it, are you? Because that was a question. Whether it be extra places, best odds guarantee. That's just not on your radar, is it?
No, I think, listen, they're nice things to have. Best odds guaranteed is part of the reason. Best odds guaranteed as a concept is why I'm getting so many customers, because the firms that offer it can't service customers with it, so they close them down. I can trade a customer that with best odds guaranteed might not be profitable to me, but I can make a case. For me, it's all about I'm trying to make a case with the customer. Can I lay this guy? I'm not trying to find reasons why I can't lay him. My approach is I'm trying to find as many reasons why I can lay him and try and lay him. That's the way we're going to try and do it. I'm sure we'll go through it, but there'll be certain instances, and I've been online 12 days, and there's guys we've got rid of already, and I can tell you the behaviours that we won't tolerate as well.
Let's get into that. Let's talk about that, because there was some debate with someone who you called an arbor, and he was coming back to you about that. What do you mean by that, and what type of customer are you're kicking out already?
Yeah, so like arbors, I don't have too much time for, just in general. Like, for example, like as I mentioned, I'm paying 50 or 60 grand a month for this website. I have a 2% turnover tax in Ireland, so especially if you're arbing in Ireland, you've absolutely no chance of getting a bet on with me. But what I'd also say is people bump into arbs in error. Like, people who are just betting day to day, sure, they're going to bump into arbs, and they don't know their arms. They're just seeing a price and they're taking them. I'm well aware of that. Like, it's not a case of do not ever bet. If you bet an arb and you don't know what an arb is, you might lose your account. The behaviours that we'd seen early on were just first bet. Oh, it's an arb. Go on. Now, arbs occur because there's an issue with the feed. It's up to me as well from an operator point of view to sort the feeds out as well. So that's on me as well. But early days, there's a lot to do. there's a priority list of things to do. Bet number 1, arb. Bet number 2, arb. You're like, what's the chances of that happening? Go on, we'll give him another go. Bet 3, an arb. Bet 4, an arb. I'm like, right, I've probably seen enough already here. Like, if you're having 3 bets and then the 4th bet happens to be a slight arb and then you're having a few more bets, sure, you're grand. There's going to be no issue. The flip side of now, the guy who was doing that wasn't closed. He was reduced to, I think, a 0.3, and we were just saying, geez, we could use this guy lame to win a bet to win 100 quid. He would just correct the arbs on the website, and he's just an arbor. Like, my opinion on arbors would be, there's this thing out there called the stock market, and if you want to arb properly and win millions of pounds, and if you've got any kind of intellect about you, go and bet on the stock market, because you can bet away freely on that and find opportunities like that. Sports books, if you're a 50, 55-year-old fella and you're still arbing and wondering why you can't get bets on, it's probably on you, not me.
Yeah, I see. And so it goes back to the feed prices, doesn't it? And then looking at Betfair. So all these things, factor into it.
Yeah, and like people will say, well, people will get like specific with like definitions. All I know is that bet is an arb. Well, people will say, well, I've never arbed in my life. I've never laid anything back and locked in a profit. It's irrelevant to me. Like, I can only see one side of the transaction, and if every bet's an arb, I don't care if you're locking in profit or you're riding the arb. You're arbing at the end of the day, and you're not going to last too long on here. I'll give you the flip side of that, because that involved rugby bets, I think. The flip side of that is we had a guy, first bet, 1,200 quid, rugby league handicap. I think it was Friday night last week. He placed a bet on a Wednesday, 1,200 quid, bet to win $1,000, I think it was, or bet to win 1,100 quid or whatever it was. Didn't follow in any follow-up mucky accounts. Allowed me to assess the market. I actually ended up leaving the price as it was. The price stayed static until the Friday, shortened up to 4 to 6, won. Brilliant. In my head, I'm like, it's cost me $1,000. In my head, I'm like, that's brilliant. That guy has had a bet. He's not tried to do anything sneaky, following it up on another account with another bet. A couple of days later, it's crashed before the off, and his bet's won. And I'm like, he might have something there. He's told me something that the market didn't know for 36 hours after he had his bet. And I'm like, sure, he's going to get a bet. He's going to keep getting a bet doing what he's doing there. The behaviours we won't tolerate are basic art business, like persistent bad each way business. Like, we had a football customer. I have too many markets on football at the moment. I've literally got 1 million markets attached to every game. I don't need all those markets. So what we're seeing is that you'll get one guy he'll bet a team to score under 0.5 goals, and he'll have his max on it. And then he'll have his max on the team to score no goals in a different market. Well, that's just circumventing limits. You can have one bet, but you're not going to have 4 or 5 bets on literally the same outcome, but just not in a different market. Again, slightly on me. I'm offering too many markets. I'm looking at that. But that's just circumventing limits. You're going to get restricted doing that kind of stuff. You're best off doing what the rugby league guy did. You have your bet, and you got your value, and you're telling me something that the market didn't know, and I'm going to lay you. I'm happy to pay you $1,000 for that information. If you're operating a different way, there's ways that we're not going to tolerate, and that's essentially it.
And is it relatively easy for you with the back-end software you have to spot people who are transgressing like that?
I'm not even joking. It's so easy. It's ridiculously easy. I can see we've had lads placing. I tell you a mistake, and again, on me, that I made last week. I changed the prices, whatever the European Tour event, I can't think off the top of my head, was it that SCDC event last week in the
South
Gulf?
Africa? Yeah.
I put that in for 20 grand again, changed around all the pricing. To do that, I had to take it off the feed. So when you take an event off the feed, you're in absolute control. You're in control of So what I should have done is I should have put the feedback on before I left that night. Forgot, because I've got a hell of a lot of stuff to do, and it just escaped. One thing escaped my mind. I woke up the next day. I think they teed off at 4:30 UK time. I woke up in the bed at about 6 a.m. And the first thought, about 2 seconds after I woke up, I immediately just went, I didn't put the fucking feedback on in that golf event. So I had to get up, get the laptop up, put the feedback on. I've laid 7 bets on the golf in the first hour and a half. Every single player is either 1 under par or 2 under par, just at stale prices. And it's all to the same customer. What am I going to do with that customer? He's opened an account. He's placed 7 stale bets. It's my fault for leaving up there. It's also his fault for taking the absolute piss. He ended up backing 1 placed golfer, 6 losers. He won 10% on his turnover, and he's not got an account anymore. So, there are behaviours that you'll tolerate, that you provide information, but if you're doing stuff like that, I'm afraid you're not going to be entertained. And it tends to be those type of customers that moan they can't get on, but they probably should just have a small look at their own behaviour as well.
Mm-hmm. So when it comes to, you mentioned the rugby league better, are you going to use him potentially as a mark? You're going to use him to help with your prices?
Sure.
Those kind of people? Yeah.
Yeah, he's a comment I'm getting a lot of trade accounts. I'm getting a lot of trade accounts with lads who work for bookmakers that don't lay bets, and it makes me laugh anyway. But we're going to try and do it a small bit different. We're going to lay, as long as you're not taking the absolute Michael, you're gonna get a bet of sorts basically. I was laying a guy established quickly that he's better than the feed prices on rugby union. He was trying to bet unders points on an under 20s game, and he's messaging me moaning that he can only get 200 quid on. And I'm like, in my head, I'm just giving you 200 quid to press that button there, and you're moaning at this. Some people, you can't be all things to all men, is what I'm learning very quickly. We're going to do it our own way. If you play the game fairly, you might be able to take a few quid off us. If you don't, and you're probably not going to be tolerated. But then again, these are handfuls of customers. We're talking, as the firms do point out, that you're talking handfuls of customers. I want to work with the handful of customers. If they want to play for that mark, they can play. But new accounts, or the majority of customers are fine. But yeah, it's just, and we're still willing to work with the customers that win. I've had the warmest early price horse racing punter probably in the UK has already been on to me, and I lay him as a mark. He gets a bet to win. I think he only gets a bet to win 250 quid before 10 a.m. and he gets a bet to win, I think, about 600 or 700 quid. I think it should be $1,000, but we've got a slight flaw in our each way limit logic at the moment. But he basically gets a bet to win 600 or 700 quid if it's each way, or a bet to win $1,000 after 10 a.m. Yeah. And he is the warmest horse racing punter who will have 10 bets a day. In 12 days, I think I'm losing $4,000 to him, and he's getting on essentially. So this whole bookmakers, and you're not laying, me personally aren't laying winners. I am laying winners, but you're going to play the game and you're going to offer me something that I can't see. That's just the way. I thought that was the way I'd actually explained it on previous things, but anyway, it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, it's a bit like Bet365 when they put up their prices at 5 p.m. They're taking small bits of change, but it's shaping the market for them, isn't it? It's doing their job for them. They might lose £100 to a few punters, but they're building that market. And
see, I've less interest in bets further away from start time, as limits are always going to be smaller further away from the start time you get. Horse racing overnight, I'm not particularly interested in, to be honest with you. It'll be a thing for the bigger days, but it will be SP until probably 9 a.m. on day of race for the majority of meetings. The first hour is a bet to win a monkey to a new customer. It's slightly different if you're betting each way. It's not, like I said, we have a slight problem with the limit logic, but it's a bet to win a monkey on a win bet. It's less on an each way bet. It's a slight flaw in the system that we're fixing at the moment. That was just part of an update basically. But then after 10 a.m. it's bets to win $1,000, slightly less with the each way again. But that's the way it is. And
so As liquidity grows in any market, you're willing to take a little bit more money, right?
Yeah,
So that's what people have been
as you
wishing
can,
for with
yeah,
bookmakers.
100%. And
Yeah.
as you can imagine, like people love top quoting exchange prices. Look at the exchange at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. There's a bag of Monster Munch and a Twix there. Like there's nothing else there. Like, there's nothing there. It's
Yeah.
absolutely you're quoting prices. People moaning about, oh, this horse drifted from 6 to 1 and it went off 20 to 1. Because the 6 to 1, there's nothing there. It's the 6 to 1 doesn't exist for a backing or lane. It's just not a price. It's a mirage. So like you just early prices you take with a pinch of salt. If you want a proper bet on the show, you're going to get a proper bet on the show as well. At the show, whatever it is, 15 minutes before the off, our limits go up a good bit. You can kick on.
Mm-hmm. And what type of custom has been joining you then? Have you got a good number of people who've been really frustrated with their treatment by the big firms and looking
Yeah.
for someone that they can have like the conversation with, saying, I bet on horse races. You say, well, you can get X amount on before 10 a.m. and I'll accommodate to this degree. Whereas you don't get that with these big firms, do you? You just you cut, you factor to a tiny percentage on your way.
Yeah, like our customer split, our early price horse business is rotten, as you'd imagine. It's
Mm-hmm.
so there's not, we don't have the mass market customer base for early prices. Basically, we just don't have it. So I'd imagine if I cut my turnover up before and after 12 o'clock, the turnover before 12 o'clock is costing me a right few quid.
Mm-hmm.
But listen, the prices are up there. As you say, if you're working as an individual and there's not 5 people placing the same bet at the same time, I'm going to lay you a bet of sorts. Like you're going to get something. Like even the arbor I described previously was getting a bet to win something.
Mm-hmm.
Like he wasn't nailed. So yeah, but like I said, the vast majority of customers are like really happy with the service. We've had a lot of people getting onto us saying, well, you don't do best odds guaranteed. And we say, no, we don't do that, but we're not going to close your account as well. All right, okay. And then some of them are willing to play. Some of them haven't got
Yeah.
anywhere else to play because most of the competition do best odds guaranteed and they're
Mm-hmm.
closed with them. So they can't get the bet they want on. So the fact we don't do it, some people might see it as a negative, but I see it as a very big positive. You've seen a lot of the firms trying to get rid of it, but they can't. They're moving the time back further and further, but they can't switch it off until everyone switches it off at the same time. So
Yeah.
at the moment, it's a good thing that I don't do it because I can trade you a hell of a lot longer than they can. They're getting rid of you. The people say, "Did you not do an extra place there?" No, I didn't. But you also didn't get closed after or heavily restricted after taking the extra place. If you can beat me, without an extra place, you're going to be able to get a bet on.
Mm-hmm.
So it's swings and roundabouts. Like our whole customer base, which is into 4 figures already, numbers wise, they're really happy. They're active. Like they're placing bets. I think a lot of it's probably just the stuff we've done and Mickey taking video, putting up on Twitter and generating a bit of interest and stuff like that. But I'll give you an example of issues we've had at the start. The very first couple of days, some of our limits were just way off. Like they hadn't been copied over properly for launch. So everyone was hitting the max on day 1, day 2. It was an absolute disaster where we were trying to change all the back end. But that was the whole thing. It was just get live for Cheltenham. We have to be up and running for Cheltenham. Sort as much
Yeah.
out as we can. I had people onto me today, like I'm trying to make a bit of a noise about golf betting and stuff like that. One or two sub markets. So we've a heap of markets on golf, but 1 or 2 of them had a max bet of 100 quid on them. So we've upped the max bet on every market to depending on what their market is, 500 quid, a grand match bets and stuff like that. Some customer had sent in an email. These match bets were only in for 100 quid. And he was dead right. I had a look at it. Oh, Jesus, that didn't map over to 500 quid correctly. Changed it to 500 quid, sent him an email. Apologies. Thanks for your patience. That was an error on our part. Hope to see you next week. They've been up to 500 quid now.
Yeah.
That's essentially what it is. If you encounter an issue, I'll actually tell you my reasoning. With a lot of bookmakers, you get the email, you've been restricted, it's a trading decision, can't give you any more information. If you email me, and if you're polite about it and just say, listen, those limits weren't great on that, can you have a look? Like the guy did with the golf match bet earlier. I had a look and it was just an error. It was just an error in the system that hadn't mapped over properly. and the limits got raised, and I told him that he's happy to play from next week, and we'd be happy to see him, sort of thing. So
Yeah.
if you're encountering issues, and listen, my DMs on Twitter are absolutely through the roof. I'm absolutely knackered just replying to them. But like, people are flagging issues up to me, and I'm trying to rectify them as well. So that's the way it is.
Yeah, and it probably goes for other sides, like the people that maybe can't get the bets on, and there's a good reason for it. It's not like you put a limit on. It's just, well, you need to change something. It's no, because you're taking the wrong type of business. So, from my understanding of talking with you, it's you're an open book. If you have a problem, come to you, and if you'll give you a straight answer, which is generally what people have been missing with the major bookmakers, isn't it? You get the
Yeah,
trading team, and that's your account email, and that's it. There's no can I get a little bit more on? It's the Grand National, it's kind of,
yeah,
no, you're still going to get 2 pence on, or whatever it might be.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like, listen, like, the answers people hear are not always going to be what they want to hear, but I'm going to try and tell you the reasoning and the logic, and you can come back with something else as well. But like, I'm going to tell you the truth as well. So like I think it's just like, I'm essentially as close to an open book on that stuff as I can. Like, I want to
Yeah.
lay, obviously don't want to lay 100% winning punters, but like, if you can tell me something that and correct a price and provide information that the market doesn't have, and you're willing to take a bet to win a few £100, you're more than welcome to come bet with me. It's
Hmm.
kind of bringing, without giving it to, like, a lot of people moan or talk about the black market for different reasons. You can get bets on to win a certain amount of money, but then people will talk about it from a regulation point of view, and there's comments on both sides. But I'm trying to bring the slight the slight just the knowledge that the black market has into the legalized market, essentially, like, in the experience that people have had in the black market. Like, we all know about the black market,
Hmm.
and just change the way corporate bookmaking's been done, basically. Like, it's given me my niche into the race course, and I'm hoping that it continues to give me the niche with this website, essentially.
Hmm. No, it's really interesting to hear, and your motivations and what your customers are talking to you about. I was going to ask you as well, just about in terms of the back and how you profile customers. Is it is it P&L? Is it beating closing line? Is it benchmarking it to Betfair SP, or just a whole mixture of things?
Yeah, it's yeah, like you say, it's a mixture of things. P&L means nothing. I don't care if you're winning or losing. Like, one of the smartest football customers that I've got on my website in the first 12 days is losing money, and he's definitely the smartest football customer. He'll be winning money at the end of the year. I'd be nearly certain of that. But he's
Yeah.
losing money at the moment, so P&L means nothing. It's a lot of it's closing line related. It's what type of market you're playing at what time, and what the limit is, and like what you can get on elsewhere, and what would you expect that event to be in for, and how volatile do you expect that market to potentially be in the day after you've had the bet, if it's a sports bet, and things like that. So, like, yeah, there's a few different variables. Closing lines is a good one, but obviously you tend to be making some decisions you're making on customers before the closing line's even known. But you just listen, by the type of the bet it is, basically. It's
Hmm.
not an R, but in a day it would have been an R. In a day in time after it's moved 3 ticks, it's, yeah, and it's on a football match, and it's on some obscure international. Like, I can see just like stuff I would have done myself. Basically, it's you can just see it a mile off, basically. And if they're willing to play for the bet to win £100 or whatever, £200 on some of that absolute rotten stuff, you're gonna get it with me. Now, people will say, "Well, I thought you were laying more than that." Well, my point to that would be, you're getting a bet to win something with me. Like, you're not being turned off.
Yeah.
If every single licensed operator in the country operated the same way, you'd be getting a bet to win 50 grand. Like, the problem isn't with me. I'm going to lay you a bet to win something. I'm not going to lay you Argentina beat Panama to lose 5 grand. Like, it's just not going to happen on some Asian handicap market. It's not going to happen. But you're going to get some bet to win something. And as long as you're not taking the absolute mick, yeah, I'm happy to work with smart lads. Like, I've worked with smart lads professionally for the last few years. I'm used to dealing with smart
Hmm.
lads. And I'm also used to dealing, probably the way I would have operated myself as a punter 5 years ago, get everything you can out of it, hit every single market and burn the account and move on and get another account. But like, it lasts for so long, and it's probably not the way to try and foster a relationship. Essentially, what I learned personally and professionally in over time is, instead of burning everything, it's more advantageous long term to build than burn, basically.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I think you probably just work that out as you get older, essentially.
Yeah, there's also a journey, isn't it? Most punters, when they first get a restrictions email, think, "Oh, how exciting!" They start telling people I've been
Oh
closed
yeah,
by a bookmaker. By the time you get the 50th one or whatever,
oh
it's
yeah,
old hat, and it's incredibly frustrating. And it's that journey. And then people either move to the exchange, or they give up, or maybe
oh
they
yeah.
try and hit shops or whatever it might be, or become a bookmaker. So
Oh yeah, the first personal betting account I ever got closed in my own name was Bet365, and Jesus, I was delighted. Couldn't believe it. Geez, look how smart I am. I'm so
yeah,
smart. This massive company can't take bets off me. And you tell everyone, they're massive, that company, and they won't take bets off me. Listen, your 10 mates might be impressed, but it doesn't get you anywhere long
no.
term. Like, it's about getting, you've got to find another way, essentially. And I think the real smart lads work that out over time.
Yeah, yeah. I was having a conversation with a friend the other day who told me he won a good amount of money betting, and I said, "Oh, how many accounts have you had closed down?" None. So straight away, I knew he was telling fibs. I was like, "Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
yeah. Or he'd been lucky.
who'd you bet
Yeah,
with? Bet365? Oh, yeah, okay. Well,
yeah.
I don't think so. I was going to ask you another hot topic, if you like, or thing that's been brought up on social media. You've got a casino on site. It's brought in some criticism from people wondering, you're this bookmaker, you talk about taking bets, but you also have a casino. Explain the reasons why you have the casino.
I have this casino because you need to have a casino on the website. Like, punters, there's a subset of punters that want a sports book and a casino. There's some punters that want a casino. I've got
Mhm.
volleyball on my website. There's some punters that want to bet on volleyball. Me and you might look down on volleyball. The parish priest might look down on you betting on horse racing. Like, people have all got different lines in the sand. For me, when you're over 18, if it's a legal activity, you can kick on and do what you like within reason, as long as it's not a problem. Like, the casino element on my website is fucking hell. It's a couple of percent of the turnover. It's not a big thing. I'd imagine it'll stay in the small. It won't be 10% of the website. I'd imagine that'll be what it'll be. I know nothing about the casino. I've not gone into meetings with a platform and said, "Put the best games, please, on this casino." It's there.
Yeah.
It's a casino. I know very little about it. I have a pal that I went to university with who's actually in the industry, and he sent me a message. He sent me a message on LinkedIn saying, the return rates on your casino games are 97% or something like that. He said, "That's way too high. There's a lot of the bookmakers out there that are doing 91, 92% now." And I was like, to be honest with you, I don't care. Like, I don't play
Yeah.
casino games personally. It's not my preference. I don't bet on volleyball. I've got MMA on my website. I don't bet on MMA. I don't bet on boxing. I don't bet on cricket. There's a million things I've got on my website that I don't bet on, but it's my personal choice. When you're 18, you're legally allowed. When you're 16, you can go to bloody war. Like, when you're 18, I think you'll be all right on the casino. The majority of people, as my recent TV
I did
lynching,
see that. Yes.
yeah, it was. But like, people, you're adults essentially. As long as you're not, like, listen, if you got a house and you want to gamble your house, I don't want to take your house off you. I'm very comfortable the way I am. I don't want to ruin people. And people will say he's a bookmaker. Of course he does. I genuinely don't. Like, my intention is not to bleed people dry. My intention is to offer good pricing, good limits on a website for social enough betting, dealing with a few smart lads, and that is essentially it. Like, it's honestly, I don't need your money for. I don't need every penny you've got. I'm very happy with what I've got. Like, yeah, I don't know how to describe it. Some people look down on it, but then some people look down on horse racing. Some people look down on
Mhm.
lads buying lottery tickets. Like, like, would I play at a casino? No. I'm the only person that goes to Las Vegas and hates being in the casino. I hate playing casino games. They don't interest me in the slightest. people like to play them, just like people like to do other activities that I don't like to do. As long as you're not, and we have systems in place to like monitor people's turnover and make sure they're in their limits, and we have all the affordability checks that I'm sure you're well aware of. Like, if they want to play and if they want to win or they want to lose, it's up to them. Like, I'm providing the service, and like I'm very comfortable with it. To be honest with you, it doesn't give me one moment's failure to sleep at all. Like, I don't sleep anyway, but like I'm very happy with it. It's personal preference at the end of the day. I don't do it. If you want to do it, go ahead.
And it's not, I think we've seen examples of in the media, especially people maybe who don't read much about betting,
Well,
about people having lost a lot of money on casino. But you, like you outlined there, you have stringent regulations and things you must abide by when it comes to your license and anti-money laundering and effectively affordability limits these days that in place. Is that the case? Then you've got
yeah. Do you know
you're
how
up
many?
to
Do you know how many of the people that we've signed up already? I think 12. I think it was. We had a meeting today. I can't remember. It's double figures. 12% of people we've we're talking about restrictions on sports bets earlier. 12% of people we've already kicked off the website for AML, source of funds, details. Like, their accounts have been suspended. We've KYC'd customers that have just said, no, I'm not sending that to you as a bookmaker, and we've suspended their accounts. Like, this is not a cash grab. I genuinely be like it. I don't want to take bets off people that are underage or can't afford the money that they're betting with. I just don't want it. Don't bet with me. I don't want your money. Like, I don't want you to gamble with the money and try and win or lose. I don't want your turnover, essentially. Like, we're putting steps in place. We're blocking people out all the time for those reasons, the compliance side of the company. Like, listen, can I guarantee that absolutely nobody's going to slip through that? I can't guarantee that, but like we're doing everything we can to stop it. Like, we've suspended over 100 accounts already for those reasons. Like, I think everyone who sets up originally, from what I can hear, everyone who sets up originally seems to get this type of like the people, the problem gamblers, or bounce around to a new license and stuff like that. And we don't even let them bet. They get kicked off if they've self-excluded elsewhere. They're gone. If people bet to a certain amount and we ask for docs, they don't provide docs, they're gone. Like, I can't risk the license that I'm trading on, and I wouldn't be allowed to do that anyway. But like, this is not your bookmaker based in Curacao or your bookmaker based in Costa Rica. Like, you're betting with somebody who's licensed in the UK and Ireland, and I have to. Some of the rules I don't agree with, but I have to abide by them. There's a lot of the rules I do agree with. Like, we don't want to be taking bets from people that have got problems. We just don't want that turnover. There's plenty of turnover from people that can bet within their means. To the vast, as I said, to the vast majority of people. Like, we want to deal with those people. I don't want to be dealing with anyone who's got a problem. Essentially, they should be getting help.
Yeah, so it's not like your sports book will go down and you'll send emails out saying, "Don't worry, our casino is still available.
No.
We've limited your account, but you can still play in a casino."
Yeah, exactly. No, we haven't drafted that email yet, but I know some of the big firms do. But no, listen. There's practices in the gambling industry that I don't agree with. Like the TV program that I was on the other night, the guy made a point about gambling companies' advertisements, and they'll associate them with certain songs, and he referenced the Rocky song, and like, you see bookmakers, the Sweet Caroline, and stuff like that. All the connotations of happiness linked to that, and I kind of agree with that. Like, I think it's just a bit too much. Like, some of the advertising I think is wrong, but like, there might be stuff that people think that we do are wrong. Obviously they do. Some people have had a moan about offering a casino, but like I'm comfortable with all the stuff we do. Like, we're not advertising to kids. We're not doing like there's loads of things. Like, we're a new company. We're gonna try and do it as right as we can. Like, we're talking about people that don't understand the industry and having bad. There's plenty of people in the industry that, from my Twitter, that said, "Oh, casino's really bad," and I don't know. And then, I don't know, they seem to be free marketing certain things, but not free marketing others. Like, it's I don't think you can pick and choose. I think you let people who have autonomy over their own brains make their own decisions, live or die by, not live or die, probably the wrong phrase, but they make their own decisions,
I know.
and listen, if they've got a problem and we can see they've got a problem, we're going to stop them. We're going to do our best to stop them and spot them. Like that is, we don't need that turnover. There's enough, like repeating myself, but there's enough turnover of people that don't have a problem. That's the turnover we want.
Because you can't force gambling on into the black market because it'll always take place. Prohibition doesn't work. We've seen that. I know there's people that want to ban gambling and what have you. But here, from what I can tell, you have an example of yourself setting up a firm that wants to take bets from people and wants to do things the right way. Whereas a lot of people might only be getting that kind of service or in the black market where those companies aren't, your money's not safe and they're not paying licensing fees and not, possibly
Not paying
doing all the due
tax,
diligence,
not
etc.
paying, not doing anything.
Not paying tax.
AML stuff. Like, listen, that's why everyone goes abroad, basically, to especially some of the far-flung destinations. There's no AML. You're not paying tax.
No
You're not paying levy. The amount of cost that we have, like, are absolutely astronomical. I'm not even joking. The cost of having something like this, astronomical costs. They don't have to pay that. Like, I like. We're here. We're like, you can probably find me at a race course if you've got a problem. Like we're not going to be doing anything shady. I'm doing our absolute best. That's the way we're going to operate.
In terms of those costs, I think you spoke on Mark's podcast. I mentioned that earlier that you've maybe got 12 months of trading with the costs. Have you got? Is that what you're giving yourself, like till the end of this year, or just do you have?
I don't want to put any. Like I said that we probably, like, I have more money than that, but that's kind of what I've has been put aside for this. The first 12 days suggest to me that we're going to be around for a long time. Basically, we're going to be around for a while. I'd say. Like if I had to price those being here in 12 months, you'd be hundreds on. Like it's it would be my opinion. Basically, it's this website and this company is here to stay. Basically, it's not going to be a 1 year wonder anyway. We're not going to be offering 7-1 Man City to win the Premier League and then closing up shop in April anyway. I know that for a fact. So, as some operators have done. But
exactly.
This is going to be as sustainable a business as it can be. The early numbers are good. Listen, we've had a bounce. We've a lot of people that like what we do on social media. We're very, very grateful for that. But we also have to appeal to more people than outside of that bubble as well. That's what we're going to try and do. Like I said, there's a lot of money gone into it. Like I'm not planning to stop anytime soon. Anyway,
So I was going to ask what the plan is. You've got the app. I think that came out earlier this week or just a few days ago, and then the rest of it is just continue to work on, the website, where all the markets you offer, all the other things that you're talking about. Is that just a huge roadmap that you have in front of you in terms of what you wish to do?
Yeah, I think the two things that I need to get done ASAP I've been trying to get the GAA on the website, which is a big thing in Ireland. So I've got the hurling on the website today. I think the football comes on tomorrow. Horse racing, I have UK and Ireland at the moment. The international horse racing is days away. I think it actually should have been today, but there's been a slight delay on it. So, I need to get more horse racing products onto the website, essentially. So I've got a lot of gaps of horse racing. For example, today, what was the first race? The first race today, 1:30 at Fosslas. The last race was the 5:20 at Haydock, 4-hour period. I don't have horse racing on the website outside of that 4-hour period. I need to get more product on the website for horse racing. Well aware of it. Streaming. I'm getting streaming for UK racing, Irish racing, and ground racing in the next 2 weeks. We're putting money into this website. Streaming's not cheap. A lot of the things that we want to give people, the things that they expect and want with a betting website. We've got a lot of it there, as you can see already. There's a few little bits and pieces that I need to add, and I just need to. I'm grateful for the customers we've got already, but we've got big ambitions basically. So we're just going to give it a good rattle.
But it sounds like you've done quite a lot in 12 days. The app and the website itself in Cheltenham's been and gone, and
with the app, like you say, the app. We've got the app in the App Store, Pete. The Google. I don't have an Android phone. I've never had it. I don't even know how to refer to Android phones. Is it in the Google Play Store or
Google Play Store?
Is that what it is? Yeah.
Google Play.
I've never had an Android phone. I'm going to be the most technical people anyway. But that is imminent. That keeps going back to Google Play, and they keep saying the way that they approve the apps, Google are an absolute nightmare, because they'll say if there's a couple of things wrong with it, they'll tell you one thing that's wrong with it and fail it and send it back to you. You fix the tech part of that, you send it on, and then they'll send you another one issue, and we're just going back and forward like it's an absolute joke. But
Yeah.
like the app in the app store has been up and running for a few days now. We've had plenty of people download that, thank God. Again, not cheap, but yeah, no, it's going good. Like, listen, the people, we're retaining the people, which is a big thing. A lot of bookmakers churn customers. They're always they've always got a new offer, trying to get new people in. They need to keep churning and churning customers. And what that tells me is that the customers just not, plenty of customers are leaving because they're not happy with the experience they get, either from a social point of view or from a limit point of view. What I've noticed with our website in the first 12 days is the people that are betting with us, we're retaining those people. Now, I don't even have streaming to offer them. I need to get it added. I need to get more product offer it. But the reason we're retaining them is, I think, because we treat them well and the product's good, basically. Our retention rates are good. So that's a big thing for me. It's not about just getting the customer through the door. It's about keeping them as well. And as we've seen with our racecourse business, we can keep customers because of the way we operate, basically.
Yep. And the on-course business is going to continue as it is that going to take a backseat now? Or is it going to?
Yeah, like some of the winter months are quite quiet for us because we don't do some of the national hunt tracks in Ireland, some of the country tracks, like we don't do Thurles, we don't do Clonmel. There's certain tracks that are beyond that you'd see on that we don't do. March is one of our quietest months. I think we have 9 days in March, and 2 of them got called off. I think one did, and Avon got called off last week. Put the replacement card on last Monday. It's very quiet. But it would have been a good if it was on the Saturday the previous week, which was when it was supposed to. So, like, it's been quiet enough for us. I think we've been, since the website launched, we've probably been to Dundalk once, and that's it. Like, it really ramps up from us from mid to end of April till end of September. It's carnage. Like, we're racing probably May onwards, 25 to 28 days a month. Like, so I have a separate team for that. The team that I've worked with essentially for the last 18 months building the on-course business up there. Listen, they're very capable people, so they're more than capable to run it without me now anyway. So my intention is to go all Ben Keith on it and turn up at the big days and that kind of thing. But I might turn up when it's nice and sunny as well. But yeah, you won't get me in the lashing anymore. Yeah, those days are gone.
I can imagine why you're not on course in December in Ireland so much. So well, it sounds fantastic. Great to see. Many people in the industry complaining about how they're treated by bookmakers, and we've long, asked for firms that will listen to us and listen to punters and willing to take money and willing to engage in conversation and talk about betting realistically. And naturally, as punters, we can't get everything that we want on, and each way bets or whatever it might be, which are obvious. Sharp bet, but for those of us who want to get a good bet on, it's great to have another location to do that. So I wish you well with it, Anthony, and it's great. Man. Thank you very much for coming on. I know you've probably got a million things still to do. My final question, though, I was going to ask you about your odds to stay on this year, but you've already given me a price. I was going to ask about your AKBets hoodies. Are you going to be giving them away? Because I know Pinnacle Sports used to do that. I think they have competitions, and I think there's your marketing idea for you.
I've got a new. To be honest with you, I've got 4 hoodies myself. Right, it's 4 of the same hoodies, and I've probably worn them for maybe 250 days last year, and they're slightly fading now. So we've a new supplier coming. Actually, we've ordered a load of new kit for this year, just stuff to wear for the lads and sizes that probably fit some of the lads as well. So we've got new gear. So like these are probably going to be made redundant soon. So we might have a giveaway for you. I might send you one there for your next video.
Okay, I'll wear. I nearly wore a hoodie today, but obviously I'm just going to get outdone by you and your orange one. But no, thank you so much. And the website's looking great. Thanks for coming on, answering all the questions, even some difficult ones. And look forward to interviewing in a year's time when you've taken over Paddy Power's headquarters or wherever it might be.
Well, yeah, we'll see. Won't go that far, but yeah, no. Listen, we're gonna give it a go anyway. And listen, I think there's space for us in the industry anyway, so we'll try and smuggle our way into there anyway.
Okay, well, thank you ever so much, and best of luck for the rest of the year. I'll keep an eye on AKBets. Is it AKBets.Bet? We haven't given out the links,
It's
have we?
AKBets.Bet. We own the .co.uk and .ie domains as well. They'll be probably linked up to. They'll actually just link up to the .bet, but it is .bet at the moment. So yeah, should be.
People can grab you on Twitter. You're very active on there. AKBets87.
Yeah,
Email.
need to calm down on the Twitter. I think too many. Just trying to respond to everyone and trying to be polite to everyone and stuff like that. And even people that are just making just outrageously daft comments, you're just trying, like I try and half mess around with some of my answers and then try and give serious answers to others. I don't take it too seriously, but it's always a bit of crack.
Okay, well there you go. You can reach out to you can get in touch and go open an AKBets account and good luck getting your bets on. If you're betting on horse racing at 5 p.m. The night before race.
Yeah.
All right, I wish you all the best, mate, and speak to you soon.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Cheers. Good luck.
Cheers.